All right, so boom, turn me up, don't turn me down. We back at it with another video today. We got a recap of the 2024-2025 wildcard weekend for the NFL. Now, how do y'all feel about this wildcard weekend? Like, was these games living up to the hype for y'all? I only feel like there was one game, or I could probably say two, that was really, like, good to me. And those games was the Buccaneers and the Commanders, and then I'll say the Rams and the Vikings. I want y'all to comment down below. What do y'all think the worst game for wildcard weekend was, and what do y'all think the best game was? If I had to choose like one game that was actually good for me, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Buccaneers and the Commanders. And if I had to say the worst game, it'd probably be the Bills and the Broncos. Like that game, it started off good in the first half, and in the second half, like the Broncos, they just couldn't score. Like, that first drive was their only time scoring. Like, it was crazy. But I want y'all to go ahead and check out my predictions. If you haven't already, I don't know why you haven't looked at my predictions yet. But I'm going to go ahead and show y'all real quick, man. Now, look, my predictions, hey, it was good. Do y'all see that? I need y'all to do the clapping emojis in the comment section right now for me. Give me my respect. Give me my flowers. I only got one game wrong for wildcard weekend, and it wasn't even my fault. It was the Chargers' fault. The Chargers literally beat themselves. But we're going to talk about every single game in this video right here for wildcard weekend. And then we're going to talk about the divisional round and then, yeah, so on and so on. But the Chargers really disappointed me. But I got everything else right. I got the Ravens beating the Steelers, Bills beating the Broncos, Rams beating the Vikings. And I'm so happy. This is the game that I'm happy about. Really, this one too, because a lot of people were saying that the Vikings was going to beat the Rams. I felt like nobody was picking. Even when if you follow me on my IG Reels, CutOffNate Reels, I be putting up a poll like, who do y'all have? Literally like 75% of the votes literally said that the Minnesota Vikings was going to win. So, yo, a pat on my back for picking the Rams, the team that I don't like. And then the Commanders beating the Buccaneers, I just felt like it was Jada Daniels' time at that moment. And hey, he did what he was supposed to do, man. But let's go ahead and talk about this wild card weekend, y'all. We're going to go back to the screen that we was just on now. Where should we start off with first? I feel like, honestly, we got to start off with this Texans and Chargers game now. The Texans, in my personal opinion, y'all comment down below. Tell me how y'all feel about this. Honestly, I feel like the Texans didn't even beat the Chargers. Like, keep it a buck, chat. I want y'all to keep it the buck with me right now. Did the Texans really beat the Chargers, or did the Chargers beat themselves? And particularly Justin Herbert throwing 4 picks. How are you supposed to win a game throwing 4 picks? Honestly, you can't. It's impossible. What quarterback? I can't remember the last quarterback who threw 4 picks and won that game. They beat themselves. You take away those 4 picks and you actually don't kick field goals and actually get touchdowns, y'all, they would have won the game. The Texans didn't even win the game against the Chargers, in my personal opinion. The Texans offense, they was playing okay. You know, CJ Stroud, he was making a good couple of plays. But other than that, it was the Texans defense that won them the game. It wasn't even the Texans as a whole. Justin Herbert was just playing ass and shit. And I think like majority, like some of those picks, I'm not going to say majority, but I think like 1 or 2 of those picks, it wasn't even Justin Herbert's fault. The receiver literally tried catching the ball and then the ball bounces up in the air like on some magic shit. And then they got the ball. Like that shit was so just like lame, bro. But it's just crazy. That was supposed to be it. Chargers was supposed to win that game. Now they're going on to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're obviously going to talk about divisional round in this video right here. Ravens and the Steelers, I mean, come on now. It's Lamar Jackson. There's no way he was going to lose to his divisional rivals in a wild card round when everybody is literally predicting him to win MVP this season. Why in the world would Lamar Jackson lose at home in Baltimore to the Pittsburgh Steelers? That doesn't even make any sense. So nothing to even talk about for that game. And then the Bills and the Broncos, that wasn't even a game. The Broncos, it was interesting at first when they got that first touchdown. I'm like, okay, is this going to be a back and forth game? Like, I honestly got scared because I'm like, okay, like the first drive getting a touchdown is crazy work. But I mean, that was their last points of the game. And that's really it. Now, when it comes to the Rams and the Vikings, the Rams, if I'm not mistaken, how much sacks did they get on Sam Darnold? It was like, what, 6 or 9? Let me go ahead and see. I think it was like 9. No, it was 6 sacks in the first half. And that hasn't been done in over 30 years. In total, they got 8 sacks. Sam Darnold was getting pressured that whole game. And that's what I was trying to tell y'all. I'm like, okay, everybody is saying it was just one game, and they're not going to determine that one game and how Sam Darnold's going to play in the playoffs. But it's like people fail to realize that this was Sam Darnold's first time ever touching grass in a playoff game. He's been on the sidelines in the playoffs behind Brock Purdy, watching Brock Purdy achieve greatness, but he ain't never played in a playoff game before in his life, so he doesn't know the feeling. He was going to freeze up, like I said, and that's exactly what happened. I don't understand why people were saying that the Minnesota Vikings were going to beat the Rams when the Rams got experience. Matthew Stafford got experience. You could just tell from the highlights that he'd been here before. And then you could tell from Sam Darnold that, he's a little shook. That's why I was saying he was getting playoff fever in that game against the Lions. That was for the number 1 seed in the NFC. I want y'all to realize that. And the loser gets the 5th seed. If the roles was reversed and it was the Lions against the Rams, I promise y'all the Lions would have won that game. Jared Goff, he been to the NFC Championship game. They was literally here last year in the NFC Championship game. So if the roles were reversed, the Lions would have won. I'm telling y'all this right now. But hey, I'm happy for myself because everybody was picking against the Rams, and I'm happy that they actually won. You feel me? My little bros, my seeds. Now, the Commanders and the Buccaneers, that game was insane. I mean, a field goal to win off, to go on to the next round to play against the Detroit Lions. Like, Jaden Daniels, he's Rookie of the Year. Other than Jaden Daniels, who y'all choosing for Rookie of the Year? Who else deserves Rookie of the Year other than Jaden Daniels? I honestly feel like there's nobody else. Jaden Daniels deserves Rookie of the Year. All right. Jaden Daniels, he's him. I think the Commanders' last playoff win was, I can't even remember. It was probably like 20, 30 years ago. So Jaden Daniels, if y'all don't know already, is definitely the franchise quarterback for the Washington Commanders. He's going to be a Commanders quarterback for a very long time. And yeah, man, I'm happy they won. Marshawn Lattimore, though. We can talk about Marshawn Lattimore because I did say Marshawn Lattimore played in that game. He was going to clamp up Mike Evans, but he didn't. So now I'm trying to figure out how Marshawn Lattimore is going to try to figure out how to clamp up Amon-Ra St. Brown and Williams. And we're going to talk about that just now, though. And then the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. Jalen Hurts, he was looking a little rusty. The game really could have went either way. I mean, the game started off with the Packers getting a fumble on the return. So that was that was bad for the Packers, obviously. It was a lot of stuff not going the Packers' way. But if it was the Packers' night, I hate to admit it, but I would have been wrong in this game too. The Packers easily could have won this game, but it just wasn't their night. It was calls not going their way and Jordan Love throwing a pick. It was so much going on in that game, and I feel like, Jalen Hurts being rusty and all that, but I don't think it's going to be rusty next game, but we're going to talk about it just now. But let's go ahead and get on to the divisional round. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the divisional round. I'm not going to do divisional round conference. We're just going to talk about the divisional round and who I got. Going off with the first game, we're just going to go off for the Saturday games and then the Sunday games. So the first game for the divisional round is going to be the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we seen this matchup last year, C.J. Stroud versus Patrick Mahomes. It was actually in Missouri too, just like how it is going to be on Saturday. This time around, I think it's honestly going to be the same thing. Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, they have a week to prepare. They had a bye week, basically. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to play in the wild card round. Andy Reid has time to prepare. Andy Reid, after bye weeks, he's damn near undefeated. That man is like God. He knows exactly what he's doing. And yeah, I just feel like the Texans, they proved to everybody that, they could win in the wild card, just like how they did last year. If I'm not mistaken, I think last year, too, I picked the Browns to beat them. I'm really about to start doubting the Texans in the wild card weekend because they always seem like they know what they're doing and they're going to win. But every single year, I don't know if y'all know this, but every single year Patrick Mahomes has been in the playoffs. He's been to an AFC Championship game, and I don't think C.J. Stroud with no Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell is going to stop Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense. And I was actually looking at Rashee Rice. I'm trying to figure out when is he going to be returning soon. I seen him with a little workout video, and it looks like he could come back sooner rather than later. Y'all can see it right here. Hey, when Rashee Rice comes back with the Chiefs, which I highly think that he is, it might get a little scary, y'all. But, I mean, nothing else to really say. I got the Kansas City Chiefs moving on to the AFC Championship game. Later on in that night for Saturday Night Football, we got the Detroit Lions versus the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, you got to go to Detroit. This is not Tampa Bay, my boy. You're going to Detroit, and I seen the tickets for the game. It's like one of the most expensive in playoff history. I think it's like $600-700, the cheapest, all the way in the back to get in. You know these loyal Lions fans is going to be buying it. They're going to be hyped up. Their team is one game away from an NFC Championship game, just like last year. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, just like how Sam Darnold was. But Jaden Daniels is no Sam Darnold. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is way levels above Sam Darnold. But he's definitely going to feel this playoff atmosphere in Detroit. I definitely have him throwing at least one pick, maybe even two. I know the Lions defense hasn't really been looking like too good lately, but I got the Detroit Lions. Honestly, I feel like this game might be a blowout. I don't think that this is going to be a game at all. All right, moving on to the Sunday game. We got the LA Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Two teams that I dislike, two teams that I hate. My little bros going against my ops. Matthew Stafford, obviously. I feel like this is actually a good matchup. I don't think that this game really could get into a blowout. But the only thing is, I don't know if y'all knew this already, but the Rams and the Eagles, they played off against each other earlier on this season, but it was in LA. But if y'all don't know already, Saquon Barkley, he had over 255 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. So with that off the bat, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know. How in the world is the Rams going to stop Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley obviously could have got a touchdown against the Packers, but he went down because he didn't want to prevent nobody getting hurt or himself getting hurt. And that was a good move right there. Good ad by Saquon Barkley. This game right here, I definitely feel like he's going to get a touchdown. And he's definitely going to be getting his yards. Jalen Hurts, I think that the rust that he had against the Packers is going to wear off. Matthew Stafford, obviously, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's going to fight for this game. He's going to fight to try to win so the Rams could go on to play the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. But at the end of the day, it's not going to get the job done. And I got the Detroit Lions moving on. Well, not Detroit Lions. I got the Eagles going against the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. So what I said for my NFL playoff prediction video, it still stands. Now, the game of the weekend. This game right here is going to be the best game. If you want me to tell y'all what I feel like is going to be the best and worst game, I feel like Ravens and Bills is going to be the best, and I think Commanders and Lions is going to be the worst. But let's talk about what I feel like is going to be the best game of this weekend. We got 2 MVPs going at it. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. This game is going to be played in Buffalo. Buffalo has not lost a game at home yet. Let me repeat myself. Buffalo has not lost a game yet at home. If they somehow lose this game and the Ravens beat them in Buffalo, AFC Championship game will get crazy because, yo, Lamar Jackson, if he goes into Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills, that AFC Championship game with the Chiefs and the Ravens is going to get real interesting. But I can't even say how the Bills played against the Broncos because at the end of the day, that was the Broncos, but they scored over 30. I think every single game at home, they scored over 30. So this definitely should be a high-scoring game. This should be going back and forth. Zay Flowers, I hope he's returning. He should be returning for this game. I don't think Zay Flowers wants to miss this game against the Buffalo Bills. But when it's all said and done, I feel like the Bills is going to move on, and they're going to go against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I got number 1 seed going against the number 2 seed in the AFC. And the same thing for the NFC. We got Bills and the Chiefs, and then we got Eagles and the Lions. Now, obviously, I feel like this game is like a coin flip. It's hard to predict because it could go either way. I feel like the rest of these games, we know who's going to win. But this game right here is a coin flip. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens could easily win this game. I think we're really going to find out the true playoff Lamar Jackson in this game. Like, oh, Lamar Jackson, he can't get it done. He ain't ever going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to find out the true Lamar Jackson in this game. If he can get the job done, I definitely could see the Ravens beating the Chiefs. And my predictions for next week is going to get crazy if that actually happens. But that's the conference championships I have. We're going to look back at it next week, and we're going to talk about divisional round. Comment down below who y'all got winning these divisional round games. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one, man.